Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make the short V-stitch, and this V-stitch is similar to a normal V-stitch which you would do with a double crochet, but this one you make with a half double crochet. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I have a multiple of 3 chain stitches, and we're going to make the first V is going to be formed by a number of these chain stitches. So the first 2 are for the V and then a third one for the chain 1. It means I'm going to go to the 4th chain stitch and work a half double in there. So you're going to skip 1, 2, 3 and then go to number 4 and work a half double in there. And this is your first V stitch made. Then skipping 2 stitches, 1, 2, work another half double in the 3rd, chain 1 and a half double in the same stitch. This is your second V made. These V's will open up when you work the 2nd, 3rd, 4th row. Then this will open up a little bit more. Skip 2 stitches again and work again a V stitch. So that's a half double, chain 1, a half double in the same stitch. Again skipping 2 stitches and then work a V stitch. So it's a half double, chain 1 and another half double. And this you're going to continue right to the end, skipping 2 stitches and then work a V stitch. It's a half double, chain 1 and a half double. So you can see how you've now already worked quite a few of them. So you're going to work them here to the end, skipping 2 stitches, a half double, chain 1 and a half double, and then on my last one skip 2 stitches and then work on that last chain stitch, work a half double, chain 1 and a half double. These are your first row of V stitches. So what you're going to do now is I'm going to use a new color for the next row to show you how to start with a new color and how to do V stitches in these V stitches, and after that I'll use the same color to show you how to do that if you want to do 2 rows with the same color. To make the second row of V stitches I have a slip knot on my hook, and we're going to start in the first V stitch we made in this V here. I'm going to start in there with a standing half double crochet. Then chain 1 and make a second half double in that same space. That is your new V stitch made. Go to the next V stitch. So you're going to skip the space that's kind of in between the 2 V's. You're going to go into the chain 1 space between the 2 half doubles. Work a half double in there, chain 1 and another half double. That's a new V made. Again go to the next V, so you're skipping the space in between the 2 stitches, half double, chain 1 and a half double. And by working this new V stitch you're kind of opening the one that you have below here, you're opening that up, because you can see that the V that you just made is more closed relative to the one that's below it, because when you work into it you kind of open it up a little bit. That's the first 3. I'm just going to work this to the end. Chain 1, and this you're going to repeat for each and every V-stitch. So in the chain 1 space you work a half double, chain 1 and a half double. And I'm just going to show you how to, for the next round, work with the same color, because I've just showed you how to change colors. So you're going to use, then you start with the standing stitch. I'll just show you how to do the next row with the same color. See here I just ended, I've just opened up that yarn from row 1. So in that last stitch, half double, chain 1 and a half double. So that's row 2, starting with a new color yarn. For row 3, I'd like to show you how to use the same color yarn. You can of course cut your yarn here and start here again with the same color with a standing stitch. You can also do that. But if you'd like to turn your work, how to go about that? I'm going to turn my work and then go into the chain 1 space with a slip stitch. Now you're in that chain 1 space. Now you can do one of 2 things. You can do a standing half double, which I actually prefer to do, or your chain 2. I'm going to do a standing half double. I'm just going to eyeball this, just pull up a little bit, around, pick up the yarn, bring forward, 2 loops on your hook, and take them off. This is a standing half double. Chain 1, and then, then the yarn just came along, and then in that same space work a double crochet, a half double. That's one way of doing it. If you don't like to do this, this is where I'm currently, this is where we ended. So I'm just going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space. Don't like this, then do a chain 2 for the half double and a third one for the chain space, so that's chain 3 in total, and another half double in the same space. So this is the same effect. Then you can go to the next stitch and repeat a half double, chain 1 and a half double. By doing so, what I'm doing now, where you've turned your work and you work now basically from left to right, where you first worked from right to left, you'll have a different effect that happens to the V stitches. So be aware of this, that if you're doing all your stitches, you want all of them to have them the same front side facing, it's better to cut your yarn and have everything start at the same position. But if you want to do one by one, first left to right, then right to left, you can do this also. You can turn here like I did now. But if you want to have all the same stitches forward, start everything like we started row 2. And now I'm in the last V here. So I'm going to turn my work forward. You can see what I mean. As you can see here, you see a different stitch pattern occurring because this is now the back of the stitch and that is the front. So because you have these 2 different effects, be noticeable that when you come back and turn your work, it will look slightly different than if you cut your yarn and you start everything at the same position. So what you can do now, if you want to use a new color yarn, cut your yarn, open up, and start again with a new color. Then for example, let's start again with the light blue that we have here. Again, start with a standing stitch and work just one more row. Then we do exactly the same here as we did in row 2. So start with a standing stitch, chain 1, and another standing stitch in the first V, and you're going to continue that in every V until the end. And this way you're making a V-stitch that's slightly shorter than the classic V-stitch, which is with a double crochet. Because you're using the half double, the entire stitch is just a little bit shorter, and it's very suitable for blankets where you're looking for just a slightly shorter stitch as opposed to the classic V-stitch. This is also a very relaxing stitch to make. Don't have to think, you can just make this stitch. And then the last V's, this one here, half double, chain 1, and a half double, and then the last one here. Remember, this one also has the chain 3 from the starting because you turned your work. And now you've completed 4 rows already. Just going to cut my yarn here and open up. So that gives you 4 rows of V-stitches. We worked into a base chain, then we started with a new color yarn, came this way for row 2. Row 3 we used the same color but turned our work. So be noteful that this will change the order of the stitches. You'll now have the back of the stitches facing. If you don't want to do that, then don't turn like this, but cut your yarn and start again with the standing stitch. That's exactly what we did in row 4. We started with the standing stitch and then worked a series of V stitches. And this in essence is how you do a V stitch, but with a half double crochet. One last tip. You'll notice that if you do each row with a new color, you'll have these knots here from the standing half double crochets at the beginning of every row. Undo this knot, and that will help you to work away your tails and to get a nice clean edge over here. So undo these little knots. That will give you a nicer clean edge like you have on the other side where you just pulled your yarn through. Then it'll look more like this, and you'll be able to get a clean edge when you work away these yarn tails. Otherwise you'll always have that little knot sitting there, and actually it just looks nicer if you take out that knot.